You don't want to know my takes on Chrono Cross, though. You really don't. You really don't. I've given them before. I like Chrono Cross. Too much. I like Chrono Cross too much for everyone's taste. Screw it. We're 28 minutes. We usually start talking about whatever we're going to talk about at 30 minutes. So I got 2 minutes to say this and try to make my case for it. Even though I won't make my case for it, I'll just probably just say it and be done with it. And a bunch of people are going to be like, unsubscribe. So I'm sorry. I have to do it. I have to shill for my game. I have played Chrono Trigger. So just for some backstory, I have played Chrono Trigger all the way through. I've seen every ending in the game except for there's 16 endings, I believe, in the first Chrono Trigger, and I've seen 12 of them. So I've played Chrono Trigger a bunch of times. I've beaten it with the same ending 5 times. I've probably beaten Chrono Trigger over 20 times at this point in my life. I've played it when it first came out, all the way up until last year was my last playthrough of Chrono Trigger. So I am very, very familiar with Chrono Trigger. I experienced it growing up when it was fresh. Chrono Cross is the better game. Chrono Cross is a better game than Chrono Trigger. Look, here's the thing. Again, love Chrono Trigger. It's in my top 10 games of all time. It might actually be in my top 10. It's at least in my top 25 if we're being realistic. But Chrono Cross has this incredible combat system. It's got all these really interesting characters. It was the first game to have 40 playable characters, and there's so many side missions to go and find it. There's so much more content. Expands on the original one better. It plays the villain becomes the hero storyline in this really interesting way. A lot of people say that it craps the bed on the storyline. I love the storyline in Chrono Trigger. If you can't follow it, or Chrono Cross. I love the storyline in both games, but when it comes to plot, Chrono Cross is extremely complicated, and a lot of people think Trigger is complicated because of it's a time travel plot or whatever. But it's a fairly paint by the numbers time travel plot when you think about it. That just hits all the fantasy tropes. I think 11-year-old boys that are into RPGs like science fiction. So we have a science fiction world where you meet a robot, and they're into medieval stuff. So we have a medieval world where you meet a frog that has a sword. It's just a checklist of stuff that people like, right? And even though it's cool, the plot isn't actually that insane. The coolest thing about the plot is that the hero dies in Chrono Trigger, and you're just without Chrono for 6 in-game hours or whatever, and that's insane considering what RPGs were doing in terms of storyline at that point. But Chrono Cross is insanely complicated. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of subtlety to it, that you might not catch, especially on a first playthrough. It requires multiple playthroughs, right? To see everything. There's so much content. The battle system, the combat system is so innovative. It's such a good game. It's such a good game. And I don't know why people didn't like it. I think it's because it didn't have as much to do with the original Chrono Trigger as people wanted it to, I guess, and people kind of judged it harshly based around that. But if you haven't played Chrono Cross or you think that Chrono Trigger is better, I understand why. It's a classic. Chrono Trigger is incredible. But I've played Chrono Cross probably 35 times. I cannot get enough of that game. I've played it on every platform I can possibly play it on. PSP, emulation, PS1. So I love Chrono Cross and always will. And again, I think it's all subjective, right? I was going to use the word objectively. I mean, it's all subjective, but based on a number of objective criteria, I think Chrono Cross is a better game. But that's all I got. That's all I got on Chrono Cross. I'm going to close the conversation out on my end right now. Yeah, I will say Optimator has pointed out the soundtrack. I think that the soundtrack in both games is incredible. I will say that. Actually, man, even the soundtrack in Chrono Cross, Time Scar is maybe the best song ever recorded for a video game. It's up there with Bloody Tears, it's that good. And New Termina? Oh, New Termina is just the most uplifting music. It's so good. So the whole soundtrack is good. Nicky's song that he plays to the mermaids is so incredible. It's such a good game. It's a good game. Play it. Play the stinking game. Never played either, but you're getting me interested, to be honest. Hodge Sauce, they're both classics. I'm not trying to rip on Cross or Trigger here. Trigger is fantastic. It's so good. Play it. But I love Cross. I love Cross so much. I think I was the only one that was really hyped for Cross because I love Trigger, right? And then, like, I got that game. I got Chrono Cross the day it came out. The first day it was available, I got it, ripped it open, slammed it into my PlayStation, and played it all night. And I was the only person I knew that wasn't disappointed by it after playing it for a whole day. I was super excited, wanted to tell my friends about it. And a couple of my other friends at school had played it, and they were like, it's not Chrono Trigger. And I'm like, that's what's good about it. That's what's good about it. It's not Chrono Trigger. But, you know, people, I guess people wanted it to be Chrono Trigger, so they've judged it harshly. Go back and play Chrono Cross. Fantastic. It's really, 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 really good game. It's subjectively superior. Yeah, foibles. That's kind of how I said that. Speak the truth. Chrono Cross was boss. Yeah, the Cross is the boss on the Deuce. All right, everybody. I see a lot of people are talking WWE in chat, and that makes my heart happy. Actually, you're just talking wrestling. You're talking about New Japan and stuff, too. So that does make... I'm glad that we're a safe refuge for wrestling lovers here in chat. And also a safe refuge for Chrono Cross hot takes. Because I think it's pretty blasphemous in a lot of circles to say what I've just said. But I mean it. I mean every word of it. But let's go. My friends made fun of me because I like Cross more than Trigger. It's so good. Last important take. Favorite Chrono Cross character? Oh, Rossanatus. That's too hard. Oh, Glenn? It's probably not Glenn. It's probably not Glenn. Kid. What's funny about that, too, is that you effectively have to kill Kid to get Glenn in your party in Chrono Cross. So, when you think about it, it's a weird take, but I have a soft spot for Kid, man. Also, oh, God, why can't I remember his name? His name's like Magus or something like that. If you pick a certain way into Viper Castle towards the beginning of the game, you'll get a guy that a lot of fans have speculated just is Magus from the first game, but isn't. He definitely almost certainly isn't. That's not canon at all. But he wears like a white tux, and he has like a staff that floats in front of him, and he floats just off the ground when he walks. And his name is something that I somehow have forgotten, but I love him. He has a really, really low hit percentage, so I really kind of hate fighting with him. And nothing really special about his unique moves or anything. So I just like the kind of steez of the character. Also really like Karsh. Karsh is incredible. Karsh might be my favorite character. I think Karsh has an interesting mix of stats. It's not often that you find a character with actually decent stats because there are 44 characters in the game. Most of them are terrible. But Karsh has good stats, and especially in terms of strength and magic power and defense, the three most important stats. He has a really cool look. You know, I like his long purple hair and his outfit and stuff. I like his accent. I like everything about Karsh. I like his name. Karsh is a cool name. So, unless people, I'm sure people called him Darsh growing up. But Karsh is one of my favorite characters too. I like Marcy, you know, the little one, the girl from the Dragoons, who's like 9, but she's like maybe the most powerful and psychotic of the Dragoons. She kind of reminds me of Go-Go from Kill Bill. A lot of really good characters in that game, dog. Like Harley? Who doesn't love Harley in that game? And is Harley Kid? Is there a weird thing going on with that? There's so many unanswered questions. Just such a good game. Guile is his name. Thank you. Is his name Guile? I think it's Guile. But yeah, there are a lot of really good characters in that game. It's tough to pick a favorite one. I also like Greco. You guys remember Greco? Any other Chrono Cross players in here? Greco is an innately red preacher. He's a preacher man. A method, like he's a minister. But he's also a former professional wrestler who still wears like his professional wrestling stuff, and all of his moves are professional wrestling moves, like his unique moves, his techniques. He does like a clothesline and like a flying elbow. And that's just, I'm a sucker for that dude. I can't pass that up. Greco is the dude. Greco is the dude. The luchador, exactly, man. Yeah, I love Chrono Cross so much. I gotta stop this before it just becomes a Chrono Cross stream. Oh yeah, I like Zappa or Fargo. Rossanatus, I love Fargo. I like Zappa. I like reading Zappa talk. I like Zappa as my go-to blacksmith in the game and all that. I just like him as that, in his function as that. But I don't like him so much as a playable character, just because again he has a really low hit percentage, and I don't much care for his special moves. But Fargo is awesome. Fargo is a really just cool character. I like his steez. Laid back, Fargo is really cool. Although I will say, Fargo is Fargo just stops the game for like a whole hour while you have to get out of his ship. You know, that's the other world Fargo. You end up getting the better Fargo in your party, the second world Fargo. But you know, Fargo just grinds the game to just a halt. I hate that sequence where you're on the ship and you have to find out how to get out and you have to become cats. Although you do get to meet Neff or Sneff, that's his name, Sneff the magician, who is really cool too. I also like Radius. Radius is an awesome character, the innately green old guy that's supposed to be like Obi-Wan Kenobi. He's awesome too. So many good characters in that game. So many awesome characters in that game, dude. But anyway, we're talking about our game.